Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the third episode of the one and only talk show entirely dedicated to Goalball. These family conversations are broadcasted into ECA YouTube channel, but you can also hear us in audio format in the well-known podcast platforms at Spotify, iTunes, and Google. As usual, I'm Pedro from Lisbon, and I'm co-hosting this show with Vilma from Vilnius. And without any more delays, let us tell you that today we have a very special guest with us. She lost her sight at the age of 16 due to a retinitis pigmentosa when she dreamed of being a professional handball player. However, it was exactly goalball that fed her sport passion and made her being in the Paralympic Games in Atlanta in 1996, representing her country, Denmark. A long journey since then was walked, and today she is the president of the International Blind Sports Federation. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Jannie or Jannie Hammershoi, which I thank you in the first place accepted our invitation and being here with us to discuss goalball. Reasons more than enough to stay tuned with us. So quiet, please. You play, Vilma.
Thank you, Pedro. Hello, Jannie. This is our pleasure to have you in this program. And can we start with how goalball came into your life and how did it really change your life to have this special place in your heart?
Hello, Wilma. Nice talking to you again. It's a long time since last.
Yes.
Yeah, how did goalball come into my life? I was actually partly sighted when I started or when I tried goalball for the first time in my life. I attended a conference for students in Denmark, and at this conference I met three women who were playing goalball, and they told me about this sport called goalball. I had never heard about it before. And they convinced me. They nearly forced me to to come and play with them. And I thought, okay, then I get peace from hearing them begging me to come. So I went for a training, and playing a team sport, a sport with a ball. It was I hadn't been playing handball for 7 years at that time. I think I heard that Pedro said that I became blind when I was 16. It's not true. I stopped playing handball when I was 16.
Okay.
But that doesn't matter. And then I thought it was fantastic, but I also thought it was really difficult because I had to keep this ball down on the floor, and my ball kept flying up under the ceiling. So every throw I made was a high ball in the first round of my goalball career. Yeah.
Okay, many penalties. But how would you describe the evolution of goalball as you see it since you started playing until now?
I could when I started playing goalball, we started inventing the rotation throw and the pirouette throw and stuff like that. And today I can see they are making, those bouncing balls. It was really difficult. I don't think that I ever managed, making them for real. So and the speed of the throws. We had some really good throwers also on the Danish men's national team, but I can see that they have developed this as well today, and the rules have changed, so the sport is also a bit faster. I think many things have happened since I stopped, but that was also the late 90s. I stopped in 1999. So it's some days ago. Yeah.
Jannie, one of the projects of ECA was the creation of Goalball Academy. They have already participants from 5 continents, 30 countries in each session in their masterclasses. Is this a sign that Goalball family is really hungry for this kind of events? Is it a strong input in Goalball to reach higher level?
The Goalball Academy, you mean the Goalball Club League, or
the Goalball Academy, the project for having master classes for coaches and
I just wanted to understand it real. Yeah, for the coaches, I don't really know that much about the academy. I talked to Edgy and Lewis and Fatmir some days ago. I think it was Thursday last week, and to be honest, I haven't really looked into the education of coaches on the academy. But we talked about that this is an area because IBSA is also into a Erasmus Plus project on coaches' education and stuff like that. So we need to make sure that that we are not, different parties making different educations for coaches, so that we can make a cooperation on how is this going to be.
Exactly this point. One of the last master classes was completely sold out with 100 participants, and it was about the future of goalball. How do you think this future should be?
The future of goalball?
Yes.
I think that the future of goalball shall be more and more into what we see from the sports that are football, handball, those sports that we can make it from a grassroots level up to a professional level. I think that's the future of goalball. Of course, staying in the Paralympics. I think that's very important for the future of goalball, that we stay on the Paralympic program.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. You know what impresses me in Denmark? You really have a lot of young players. I see them competing in Sweden constantly, in Malmö, Stockholm. What can you say? Is it the biggest challenge for IBSA, this sports development for young people? How to attract them?
I think that the biggest challenge for us is that for around the world, some countries have, of course, a lot of visually impaired people, but lucky enough, many countries don't have that many visually impaired people and don't have that many citizens either. So, of course, in many countries, small countries, it's a big challenge that there are so few visually impaired children and youngsters, and that's of course a good thing. But for goalball, it's a challenge because the numbers that we can recruit for the sport, then of course also is a bit smaller than if we had to recruit it between people with a normal sight. So that is challenging. Goalball is also a team sport. I think that's really good. That's one of the good things. But it's also challenging to do a team sport and also a hard sport. It's when the ball hits you, it's not just a softball hitting. It's you have to be capable of having the challenge of a hard shot, blocking it with your body. So yeah.
Jannie, one of the things that this Goalball Academy is bringing to the sport is the scientific study about the sport itself. We have millions of scientific papers and works about football, of course, it's the main thing, and also about other sports, but few or even almost none about goalball. Do you consider this important, this next step to put goalball in discussion in universities as a subject for specific studies? Important, this next step?
We already have that. I just told you about this Erasmus Plus project. We have also a cooperation with a university in England who is doing also some scientific work on goalball in different parts of goalball. For example, the part of cheating, We are also moving in on the area of classification, because Goalball also needs a sport-specific classification system. And of course, we need some scientific research to go in on this area. So it is important steps to move in on.
Yeah. Would you be yourself consider the possibility of being in one of these master classes, as conducting one for managers, for example?
I think that is not the most appropriate for me being there. I think that other people will be better in doing so. But of course, if my capacity can be used, I would be happy to provide and to help out. But I think that it's sometimes you have to be careful not to mix roles too much. So, but always happy to help out. Yeah.
Perfect. I interviewed the executive director of IBSA in 2018 when he came to Lisbon, to Siegel, Heck von Aller. And one of the things that she said to me, which was actually my title of the piece, was that he was really overwhelmed with the level of professionalism that the event had. He even said that the event in organization question was like 20 years ahead of what you used to see in other competitions. Did he talk about this with you by that time?
He told me that he thought that it was really well organized, and yeah, he had the positive things to say about it. But there are also things missing. You know, we talked about with Erki and company. We talked about that, classification, because we need to make sure that goalball also on a club league level is a sport where we don't accept any kind of cheating. We don't want cheating in our sport. So that's also why, that you need to think in the classification system into the club league program and anti-doping and stuff like that. But it was, Hank talked to me about that. He found it very professional and good. Yeah, he was happy. Yeah.
Okay. Jannie, I noticed when I organize international goalball tournaments in Lithuania, there is some kind of shift in paradigm. I noticed that sport clubs, they kind of become stronger comparing to national teams who they depend on federations and sport clubs. They have their own budgets. They can make decisions quicker and easier. They are maybe more eager to fight for themselves. And I see that kind of sport clubs in goalball, they start leading more comparing to national teams. Do you notice this kind of shift of paradigm in goalball?
I haven't been, that's what happens when you're not an active player anymore. then you don't have the same contact, the same view into the club level tournaments. I had it, of course, when I played goalball active myself. But I have heard the other people's, as from your organization, Erki and Fatmir and Louis, talking about this. But also, we need to be very aware that those club teams, they of course have to support the national teams, because if you don't make sure to build up a system like they do in football and handball, for example, where the national coach can pick the best players for the national team, then the picture will break, or the chain will break from the grassroots level up to the professional level and the national team level. So I think it's very important that goalball will not experience a split between club teams and who's on the national team. I think it's very important to keep the cooperation, to keep the feeding of players for national teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I went to Malmo in 2017, and I was part of a reporters team that cover the international event for Portugal. We even had the live broadcast of several games, of course, but goalball is not only elite clubs, you know. What do you think about this idea of Grand Prix competitions around the world that could bring to the sport?
I think it's a good idea. I think that it can bring to the sport. It can give us more PR, so that it can widen the knowledge of goalball, and then of course it can also, the more competitions that are possible on a club level, the more experience the athletes get, and I think that that's a very important step that we have to remember. That the sport is for our athletes, and the more that they can get of experience and training, the better. So I think that can really give some very value to the sport.
Yes, and IBSA takes care of 12 sports. So how do you organize your work? How do you divide your attention between those 12 sports, Jannie?
We take care of 9 sports in IBSA. Yeah. Okay. And what we do is that every sport, for example, goalball, if we take the step from goalball, every sport has a committee. So in goalball, we have a subcommittee, the goalball committee. There is a chair, and there's a secretary general, there's a media person, and so on and so on. So in the practical taking care of the sports technique stuff, they are doing that. And that is what happens in every sport in IBSA. Every sport in IBSA has a subcommittee who takes care of the sport. And then the executive board, the level where I'm on, we take care of the political things in the sport.
So this ends our first part of the program. Don't go out anywhere, because we will be right back for the second part. Welcome back to the second part about the national and global context. Vilma?
Yes. So, Jannie, Denmark is ranked as the happiest country in the world. What is your version? Why is it a good country to live in?
I think that's a very easy question, because I think that the reason why the people in Denmark are the happiest people in the world, we are switching it sometimes with Norway. Sometimes they steal the title and then we steal it back. But
Iceland too.
Oh, are they also in the loop? Yeah. Yes. But the same with all 3 countries are that in the Nordic countries we have a very good welfare system. We don't have people, that need to live on the street or that have to die from hunger or anything like that. We have a system where it's free to go to hospital. Everyone can go to hospital. Everyone can go to the school. Everyone can go to university. You don't need to have parents that are wealthy, or you don't need to have to lend a lot of money in your bank to go to university and so on. I think that is the answer, to be honest.
Yes.
We don't have to fear for, if we get food on the table or for the next day or things like that. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for your answer. Do you follow goalball on national level, like how Denmark is doing? Do you know that a player from Denmark, Anja Christensen, she was selected as the most valuable player in Super European Goalball League.
Yeah. And Vilma, when you say that, I have to tell you, because I'm always introduced as coming from Denmark, and somehow I am, but Denmark is having some control over the Faroe Islands and Greenland. I don't know if you know that.
It's a country of my dream.
Yeah.
I know that it's a country of your childhood. Yes?
And yeah, it is, because I'm born on the Faroe Islands, and the Faroe Islands is 2,000 kilometers north of Denmark, northwest of Denmark.
My God.
Yeah. And
but you live there? You still live in Faroe Islands?
No, I live in Denmark now. I have been living in Denmark for the last 40 years, but I'm still a Faroe and born on the Faroe Islands. And when Vilma then says Anja, then I have to say, where do you think Anja is born?
Really? Where is she born? In Faroe
Islands? On the Faroe Islands, of course.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So probably you were her role model, you know.
So that's so funny. So that was just a funny story. But you know, when you come from a very small society, we are only 50,000 people living on the Faroe Islands. Then you have to promote it when it's possible.
Of course.
Do you still go there?
Yeah, I go every year, at least once a year, sometimes twice a year. If it's possible, I go as much as possible. It's one of the most beautiful countries in the world.
Yeah. It's my dream to go there.
Yeah. You're so welcome.
when you lead a global organization like IBSA, do you still have the same identity? I was saying Danish, but I don't know if I could say this anymore.
No, just go ahead. Just say Danish. It's okay.
Danish.
I am a bit Danish.
I know. Yeah. Or do you feel more like the citizen of the world because you have to care about people all around the world?
I feel very much like a citizen of the world. Very often when I have to talk sports, I really identify, and I know that some people in Ghana will say, "Oh, come on, Jannie," you know. But then I really identify with the Africans athletes, with the South Americans, where I think that you've just asked me why is Denmark one of the most happiest countries in the world, and I know it's because we are well off. You know, we have good conditions here, but not every people with a visual impairment has that around the world. And we need to remember that when we have to develop sports and when we have to recruit athletes and give athletes or give the visually impaired people the opportunities to do blind sports. So I very much identify myself as a citizen of the world.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Jannie, in 2021, we'll have the championship in Lisbon, and it will mark the 75th anniversary of Goalball. Is this a perfect way to close the celebrations? I heard that it will be a big celebration for the Goalball family.
If it's a what?
In 2021, there will be a championship, world championship in Lisbon.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
and it will mark the almost the end of the celebrations of the 75th anniversary of Goalball.
Yeah,
it will be during the 2021. Do you think it will be a good way to close the celebrations?
A good way to the celebrations?
Close the celebrations.
Oh, close the. Yes. Sorry, I didn't.
No
Sorry. I didn't understand it.
No problem,
I think that's brilliant. I think it's brilliant, and I really hope that the Goalball family will have a huge celebration and a good party, and really appreciate the fantastic sport that we have, because Goalball is really a fantastic sport. It's developed, it's invented by blind people, for blind people. I can only say that Vilma, she asked me in the beginning, how did Goalball change your life? And I didn't really, answer that. But Goalball has not only changed my life, I think it has changed thousands of goalball athletes' lives around the world, because suddenly all the things you have lost, or all the things you haven't been capable of, suddenly you are capable of so much.
Absolutely.
And it's not only doing the sports, it's also, all the side effects that you get from goalball, using your hearing, being really conscious of your body, using your body. And there are lots of other things that you get as well as a blind person.
It's funny because the Brazilian Confederation of Sports for Blind People said already that they are very excited about that event. There are a lot of players' expectations are really high because most of them never even thought they could be in a competition like that in terms of clubs.
It's so good.
This is also the true joy of goalball, isn't it?
It is. Absolutely. It is.
And the statistics show that goalball is the most developed in Europe, the least developed in Oceania and Africa. So how do you share your attention? Do you focus most on those countries, the least developed countries or the most developed countries?
I think that we try to share it, but of course, much of the efforts go for those countries where goalball is developed, because then there is regional championships. We have in Europe there's IBSA, and in Africa we really have to work hard to set up the regional competitions, because there's just a world of difference of if you are a citizen, visually impaired athlete playing goalball in Europe, or if you are in Africa. But we have a lot of developing projects that we are trying to get to work in Africa. And the last regional championships, we actually had 6 countries who had signed in to attend, but then because of different reasons, only 3 of them attended. But I believe that with a continued effort to try to get it to work, it will work. Oceania is, we have actually some very skilled people in Oceania, some brilliant goalball players, brilliant knowledged people about goalball, and so on. But it's, I'm saying here from Scandinavia, it's still just, isolated and far away. So, so it is, of course, more difficult to develop.
Don't go anywhere, because we will be right back for the third and the last part. Welcome back for the last part, and a little bit more personal about Jannie Hammershoi. Vilma?
Yeah, so Jannie, you have a guide dog Kingo, right? And you showed up on TV explaining, how can your guide dog help during this quarantine time? Can you tell us more about your pet?
How do you know that?
We're journalists.
Are you watching Danish television?
Yes.
Yeah, it's because during the COVID-19, the coronavirus, we had an issue up here in Denmark of visually impaired people having difficulties keeping distance to other people. Because, at that time we had to keep 2 meters distance to all others. And our guide dogs are not trained to do so. And being blind, it's also difficult to see, how close am I to others. And that was what I was talking about, that I have only met, polite, helpful, friendly people. But some other people in Denmark had, one was told to get out of a shop because there were too many people in there. Another woman was told off because she was getting too close to some others in a line, and they were, of course, sad about that. So that was what I was talking about, and asking people to, we really like to join in society. We like to be a part of society, to, go shopping, to do all the other things that people also are doing. So it was a request for them to help us. Just tell us, sorry, just, slow down or keep a bit more distance or something like that. Yeah.
Yes. So, and I read the news that the first blind man from Denmark climbed Kilimanjaro mountain. What kind of big dreams do you have?
The big dreams I have is not, his name is Sven Mogensen. Actually, I know him very well. The big dreams that I have is, to be honest, is that as many visually impaired people as possible can have a good, healthy, and lucky life. And for myself personally, it means a lot that my family is doing good. That's the biggest dreams of mine. I've just got two small grandchildren, twins.
Wow,
Isaac and Elias.
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Grandmother.
Isaac and Isaac and Elias. They're only 6 months old, and now it's my biggest dreams is that they get a lucky life. That's what happens when you become grandma.
Yes. And what about your children, Oliver and Rebecca? What do you like doing together with them, your leisure time?
We just went out to a scout cottage, being out there making, fireplace, making food over the fireplace, playing games, singing.
Have they been already to Faroe Islands?
Oh, lots of times. They love Faroe Islands. Yeah, they love it.
Mhm.
We are going there in September as well. And yeah.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
And Jannie, as if you don't have enough to do, you have become a psychotherapist recently, not so long time ago. Is it true?
You have done your research good.
Yeah, so
I did.
tell
I
us
finished
about
my
that. Yeah.
I
What have
finished
you learned?
I finished my master in December.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Really,
As a
congratulations.
psychotherapist, in existential and emotion focused therapy.
And
as I didn't
you
have enough to
offered-
do.
Yes. And you offered your help, your service during this coronavirus, yeah?
Yeah, I
That,
did. Yeah.
You offered to do this free therapy on the phone.
It's
What
because
kind of
I saw
feedback?
that, I saw that so many people in Denmark offered, I was so, it actually made me really happy to see all the young people, everyone offering to do the shopping, to help out the elderly people, the one that were in risk. And I told Morten, my husband, I said, oh, I wish that I could help somehow, but it's difficult being blind. You can't go out doing the shopping. And then Morten said, no, but you could offer some therapy, couldn't you? And I said, oh yeah, of course I could. So I offered.
And how did it go?
It went, to be honest, just telling the two of you, I did regret it a bit because there were so many asking in for it. But now
it's
really
very
happy.
difficult times, isn't it, Jannie?
It is difficult times, and today I'm really happy that I did do it, and I have had 26 people through that I have had free therapy. So, and then I had to stop because it became too much if I should do more than 26. But so I did my kind of voluntary work in that area as well. So that was good. Yeah.
As if you were not busy enough, as if sufficient.
Yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned Morten. So you
Yeah.
have been married to him for like more than 20 years. He is our dear colleague. We used to referee together in London. How is
That's
he
true.
doing?
He's doing good. He started as a national coach for
Really?
the Danish men's team, and then he became a national coach for the Danish women's team and a referee. Yeah. So, but he's doing good. Yeah.
So he was your coach, no?
He was my coach. Yeah. But yeah. So.
Okay, and just maybe the last questions. I don't know, what inspires you? What kind of role models do you have in your life? What you are a leader? What other leaders inspire you?
Oh, many leaders inspire me, but you have to be careful, making role models. But to be honest, the biggest role models that I have had is the biggest one is my mom. She was a really big role model. My mom was of course also born on the Faroe Islands. She moved to Denmark, took her education, became a nurse, and every Christmas, my mom was a leader of an older home in Denmark, and every Christmas, some of the people who lived in this home, they didn't have any family, so they couldn't, have Christmas with their family. So what did my mom do? She went up and took them home to us so that they could have Christmas together with us. And I think that made the fundament for my doing voluntary work. So she's actually the biggest role model I have had. Yeah.
It's perfect, Jannie. Thank you so much for this inspiring stories. They are really inspiring. And once again, thank you so much for this time for the interview. And we'll be back on the fourth episode. And it was today a very special guest, as I said, Jannie Hammershoi, the president of IBSA.
Thank you very much, Jannie.
And thank you for taking good care of Goalball. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye-bye.